Hello there, my very good friends. What are we doing at this time making a video in this studio? I have no idea. Well, it just so happens to be one of the best days in the calendar for arguing about wrestling. The PWI Women's 250 is just dropped as I'm recording this right now. And that means we're all going to be fighting about it for at least the next 12 hours or so. This is Pro Wrestling Illustrated's annual ranking of the top 250 women's wrestlers in the world, based on the judging period, which runs from the 1st of, for this year, the 1st of August to the 31st of July. So that's August 2024 to July 2025. And it includes a number of different criteria. Always gets people into it, shall we say, and it always gets people a little bit confused as well when it comes to the category, the criteria for this stuff. So a lot of people assume it's just pure match quality or just pure ability or anything like that, star ratings, whatever. It is not. On your screen right now, you see the criteria, but I'm going to go through them one by one as well. In-ring achievements, so win-loss records, championship tournaments, kayfabe stuff, push stuff, right? Who's the most pushed? Who's winning the most? Who's got the most belts? Influence, meaning visibility and prestige within a promotion and or industry. So yeah, again, push related, kayfabe related. Technical ability, quality of moves, matches, and in-ring storytelling. That's very self-explanatory. Competition, success against the most varied and highest quality opponents. Yeah, if you win 20 matches against a dustbin, that's not as good as beating Toni Storm 20 times in a row. And activity, so you need to have a minimum of 10 singles matches throughout the year. And a bunch of other stuff listed there as well. So now we know the criteria. How about we go through the top 10? I would do this in reverse order, but I think we'll just do it. We'll go from one. Solid. We're going from one. Because I think this is the name that's going to get the most people talking. That being the number one ranked wrestler in the PWI Women's Top 250 is Mercedes Mone. And I think when you add all those criteria together, this is very hard to argue with. I think that the other person, honestly, the only other person I would make a strong case for to be number one is the person who's ranked 2. But yes, in terms of Mercedes, look, she's lost once in singles competition to Toni Storm, right, for the AEW Women's World Championship. She has won millions of titles. What are we on, 10, 11, 12 at this stage, right? These are all things that factor into the judging. She's continually gone into territories and beaten the best wrestlers there, be it working in AEW, be it, Toni's the exception there in terms of wins, but going to CMLL and wrestling Catalina and Persephone, going to wrestling various other bits and pieces here and there as well. The match quality's high. That's the most subjective element of this, but I think her match quality's been very high throughout the year, particularly the Athena match. I think that was her finest hour, Mercedes. But I thought the Toni match was tremendous as well, and there's plenty of other ones littered in there too. She fits all the criteria. She's been extremely active. She wrestles every other week. It's not just for AEW. She goes out to these indies and wins their title, which gets a lot of people going. And I know it's Mercedes. She attracts a lot of hate from people on the internet quite often. I think the majority of it is unwarranted. I think the majority of it is way overblown. And really, if you consider that a lot of this ranking is a kayfabe thing, I think it's very difficult to argue that she's number one on this list, honestly. I mean, look, if she beat Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World title, it would be a total no-brainer, not just a mostly no-brainer, which is what I currently think it is. The achievements just speak for themselves. She's got 4 million titles, man. Nobody else has that. Nobody else has done that. Nobody else has worked a variety of places while also staying active in a major league promotion either in the women's field of wrestling. Kind of had to be Mercedes. And number 2 on the list was the closest challenge. I think this is a good top. I think the top 10 is pretty good, honestly. Toni Storm's in here. Okay, here we go. AEW Women's World Champion for ages and ages. She had a tremendous run opposite Mariah May. Excellent feud. Right near the top of the card. She's one of AEW's franchise players. She's one of the most important people on that show. She's not the champion anymore, but most of that would fall out with the judging window. She constantly delivers in the ring. The character work is some of the best in the promotion. She's really over. Hard to argue against Toni Storm as well. I mean, again, like the subjective elements are always going to be up for debate, right? You can talk about match quality and enjoyment of the character, and all that's fine. All that's fine. But when so much of this is based on achievement and accomplishments and push, Toni Storm being number 2 makes a lot of sense, especially in a year where if you look at WWE's candidates, and we'll get through those as we go along, there's not really a standout WWE candidate to knock these two off the top. The main reason being the person I consider one of the strongest WWE candidates, Stephanie Vaquer, half of her stuff was in developmental. And you know, NXT is a weekly TV show, right? It's got about the same audience as AEW. But you're talking about Mercedes Moné winning 11, 12 belts here, and Toni Storm, like, running the show for long periods. It's crazy. Number 3 was Saya Kamitani of Stardom. She's had a very successful year, establishing herself as the top dog of that company. Look, it's the leading Joshi group. It is the leading women's wrestling promotion in the world, as in promotions that do exclusively women's matches. She's going to have the opportunity to wrestle at the Tokyo Dome because the New Japan partnership and all that stuff. She has been the shining light of that promotion this year, and it is absolutely earned that she would be high on the list. She's been pushed extremely well. The match quality is higher than anyone on this list, in terms of volume in particular. Very hard to... I mean, look, it's a more in-ring focused product even than AEW, definitely more so than WWE, Stardom. But the catalogue is absolutely insane. And I think, look, this is a really good top 3. I think they've nailed it, personally. The first WWE person here is Tiffany Stratton. She's number 4. She was SmackDown Women's Champion for ages. She was undefeated for ages until she lost, of course, like a couple of weeks ago, not so long ago. But she was consistently pushed atop SmackDown. Yes, she's had some wonky moments like the Charlotte Flair feud and the ensuing match, but the strength of the push is right there. She is the strongest candidate from SmackDown. And on number 5 is the strongest candidate, I think. Naturally, I'm going to argue with myself a little bit. Stephanie Vaquer is number 5. And she's a really interesting case. She's double champion in NXT. She's now a main roster champion as well. She's been pushed really strongly from day one. She came into the company and it felt like she won the belt 5 minutes later in NXT. And it was richly deserved because she's absolutely sensational. I think that the only thing that stops her charging into the top 3 here is that her main roster push is relatively new. And that there are simply not enough months on the board for her to reasonably be considered like a number 1 contender for this list. Number 6 was Io Sky, and look, if we're talking quality, if we're weighing that highly, I think that she beats Tiffany and Stephanie in particular. I think she's been WWE's best wrestler this year in the ring, and I think that, look, the catalogue, I mean, the WrestleMania Triple Threat match is the best PWG match I've seen in years, with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. And yes, she was women's champion for a period as well, so she's had that period on top. But other people have had it a bit longer. Other people reigned a bit longer than Io, so that's why I think that she's below them, even though Stephanie's push is, quite new as well. Number 7 is Athena. She's been the Ring of Honor champion forever. She's the forever champion. That tells you everything you need to know. She has been more and more involved in the mainline AEW product, working with Mercedes in particular. She's eaten a couple of losses here and there. That does hurt her a little bit, I think. And I think that the fact that her push is taking place primarily on Ring of Honor hurts her a little bit as well, because it's like, the 6th or 7th most popular wrestling product. That does matter when it comes to the influence category of the PWI 250. So look, Athena's great. We all love Athena, and we're all hoping that she gets a bigger role somewhere in AEW in the future. Number 8 is Saree. She is one of the best freelance wrestlers in the world. She's, every single time I've sat down and watched Saree this year, I've been blown away by what she's delivered. Shouldn't be a huge surprise. She was considered a massive prospect before she went to WWE. That run got a little bit weird with the schoolgirl outfit and stuff, but she's now back doing what she does best, kicking ass, putting on her own shows. The Sareeism shows are always a good time. Really loved her Meiko Satomura match this year in particular, but the Shuri matches have a lot of buzz too. She's tremendous. Like, I'm very thankful for her because we don't have as many non-contracted wrestlers out there beating ass these days. So Rhea's doing it for the love of the game. She's tremendous, one of the best in the world. Not even 30 yet, I don't think. Good, glad to see her on the rankings. Number 9 is Naomi, who has won a lot of things this year. Money in the Bank, women's title. She had a WrestleMania program with Jade Cargill. Okay, she lost, but it was spotlighted. She had the big spotlighted heel turn. She had the consistent push on WWE programming. I think that if it had lasted a little bit longer, she would probably be higher. And look, starting a family with your beloved husband is much more important than finishing higher on the PWI 250. So there are priorities here, but I think it's an earned spot in the top 10 based on how consistently she's been pushed, and I cannot argue with her spot at all. Number 10 is Rhea Ripley, and we're going to wrap this one up on number 10. We're not going to do the whole 250. We haven't got 5 hours here, come on. Rhea Ripley, look, she's a star. She's an absolute star. I get, whenever I tell people I work in wrestling, they're like, Rhea Ripley is one of the first people they recognize. That's anecdotal, so it's not much use. But she's a centerpiece of this division. It's not a case for her of holding a title for like 5 months, 6 months, 7 months this year, which hurts her consideration in the top 10. But it's Rhea Ripley. For as long as she's active, she's probably going to be in the top 10 because she will always be strongly pushed. She will always be having good matches, and she will always be working with the biggest names in her division. She's a star. That's how it works. I imagine next year, if she has a more prolonged title reign, she will finish even higher. So there's your number 10, and there's your top 10 PWI Women's 250. Look, just remember the category when we're debating stuff like this. It's not just in-ring quality. It's not just my favorite is better than your favorite or anything like that. They are trying to be a little bit objective, right? When they're trying to apply pushes and they're trying to look at accomplishments and statistics and positionings and things like that. I think there's room for that. There is room for that in 2025 because a lot of these awards, like the Wrestling Observer, they'll do Wrestler of the Year, which is different, but their most outstanding will be purely in ring, and then the Flair Fez will encompass drawing ability and stuff. This is a slightly different beast, right? This is highly kayfabe focused compared to some of these awards. I think there's room for everything. I think there is room for who had the most good matches, and I think there's room for who had the best push and the most good matches as well. I'll leave that with you folks. You can chat away on this one till your heart's content. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.